Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Providence and to this service of dedication. Dedication meaning to give oneself, and also meaning to commit oneself. The word conveys both zeal and perseverance, and that is the spirit of our gathering today. We are living in a time of unprecedented events in American memory, when shamelessness and prejudice and greed are openly, proudly driving our nation's leadership. But if our leaders are drunk on those deadly sins of avarice and lust and wrath and pride, those poisons that delude us into justifying selfishness and violence and hatred, we the people see it. We see it, and we stand against it with everything we have. We will not be a petty and cruel people, closing our doors to neighbors and friends and strangers and families who are desperate for our help. Having exercised the might of this nation the world over, having flexed our muscles in every continent and country on this planet, some of the suffering comes from our own choices and policies. And so human decency and our own responsibility and the teachings of all the world's great religions and our own Unitarian Universalist principle that we uphold the inherent worth and dignity of every human being, all of these call us to be better than our nation's leadership. And tragically, that is not hard to do. It is not hard to do better than our executive branch, and it is not hard to respond to the human desperation that is at our doorstep. Indeed, what would be hard would be to do nothing, to cross our arms, to turn our faces away. So many of us in this church come from families that took their turn at this country's doorstep, fleeing persecution, war, famine, desolation. We are here, alive and able, because we were taken in, and because of the extraordinary courage and desperation of our siblings, parents, grandparents, ancestors who channeled all their gifts and all their work into making a life for themselves and their families, and in doing this, they helped shape this country into one of the most strong and complex and creative and exciting nations in the history of the world. For us, this is an imperative of both church and state, because sanctuary is a fundamentally faithful principle. And because for so many of us, this has been a sanctuary nation. In this ceremony and in our sanctuary, we declare ourselves a sanctuary church. Can we rise and join in this church's chalice lighting words? They are printed in the order of service, and we have a member of the congregation who's going to light our chalice as we say these words together. May this light burn also in our hearts. May it light our path towards harmony and justice for all. And please remain standing and join in our opening hymn. It's "May Nothing Evil Cross This Door," number 1, in the gray hymnal you'll find before you in your pew.
No Holy Family by Jody Cohen Hayashida. Writing of the Holy Family, Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, Wendell Berry once asked what would happen if we ourselves, opening a stall, a latch thrown open countless times before, might find them breathing there. I wonder what it would mean for us if we did. If we, still rubbing the sleep from our eyes, with the long daily list of tasks already running through our heads, suddenly stumbled upon the Holy Family. The Holy Family, right there in front of us, huddled together against the cold, a tiny baby nestled into the arms of his parents. What would it mean for us to be startled away from our distracted thoughts, pulled suddenly into the intense needs of the moment? Warm blankets, soft pillows, hot food. To understand immediately that we would have to make a choice, set aside the list of tasks, the laundry, the child's play date, the stack of papers teetering on the desk, or set aside this what? This miracle, this wonder, this invitation into another life? Because we could, of course, set it aside. It wouldn't be hard, or at least not complicated. We could just turn and walk away, reassuring ourselves that someone else would soon come along to help. After all, the family's right there. We practically fell on top of them, for goodness sake. And honestly, they could be a little more considerate, now that we think about it. Move a bit more out of the way instead of acting so entitled, blocking the path of people who are responsible enough to take care of themselves and their own kids. Yeah, someone else will come along soon. Not that that family particularly deserves any help. We could set it aside. Or we could set aside the tasks. We could allow ourselves to be pulled into the urgency of the moment and then pulled even further into a world sanctified by joy, by wonder, by the presence of holiness. We could allow ourselves to be pulled into that sanctified world with its new mother, luminous and weary from the work of giving birth, with its father, determined and probably a little bit afraid, with its babe, intoxicated with the scent of new life, his mouth already opening in hunger. We could choose that world. We could. I wonder what it would mean for us if we did. I ask only because I could swear to you that I've been seeing the Holy Family everywhere. Weary mothers, frightened fathers, and hungry children. Everywhere. And maybe you've been seeing them too. Which would mean that now is the time we have to choose. Do we step around those holy ones on our way to check off our tasks one by one? Or do we step into that other life with its pressing demands and its astonishing glory, with its refusal to allow us to stumble backwards towards safety and comfort and self-focus? I ask only because I think they are out there right now, the mothers, the fathers, the children. They are out there and they may be here, waiting for us to choose them, waiting for us to feed the hungry, to comfort the weary, to strengthen the frightened, to stand with the weak. I think they are waiting right now to see if we will choose rightly. I wonder what it would mean for us if we did.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Jay Glasson, and I'm the president of the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Providence. I'd like to speak to you today about process and how we got here. Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." In November of 2016, a small group of individuals from this church, upset with the immigration policies of the Obama administration and angered by the rhetoric of the president-elect, began discussions about immigration and sanctuary. Over the next few months, they reached out to other faith-based groups and community groups. They began working with Don Anderson of the Rhode Island State Council of Churches, which was advocating that churches open themselves to immigrants who were at risk. In February of 2017, they approached the executive committee of our church. The executive committee is made up of the minister and the officers of the church. The executive committee discussed becoming a sanctuary church and referred it to the Prudential Committee, which is our governing body. The Prudential Committee is like a board of directors for the church. After discussions at that level, the PRUCOM decided to have a congregational conversation. This is something we do at First Unitarian. It's not unusual. We've done 3 of them this year. But what we do is we notify the entire membership that we'd like to have a discussion about matters of interest. In this case, it was sanctuary. This year, we've had discussions about joining Rhode Island Mobile Globes, about church security, about our budget. So it's a normal process at our church. As a result of the this conversation, the church had an opportunity to have an open discussion about sanctuary, immigration, and our responsibilities as members of this church. A survey was subsequently taken of the members who were not at the congregation. Finally, pursuant to our bylaws, which allow us to take a stand on matters of public interest, a vote was taken by the congregation to move forward and become a sanctuary church. Since then, church process has been one of oversight of our sanctuary host team, which has worked hard and diligently towards drafting a manual for moving forward with sanctuary, identifying a sanctuary space, obtaining permits to renovate the space, working closely with Dorcas House and other community groups, training volunteers, and raising money to support our efforts. The process will not stop with this dedication. Someone once described America as a baby with a cigar in its mouth. Well, that baby has weaponized our immigration policy against the defenseless immigrant population. While babies have powers over all of us, at the end of the day, the adults in the room have to stand up and say, enough. This behavior is unacceptable. The process we have followed at First Unitarian will continue until our immigrant population is treated with the dignity and respect due all human beings.
Hola, buenas tardes. El gusto es mío para estando aquí hoy para decir eso. Poco a poco se va lejos, pero juntos podemos ir mucho más allá. I said, good afternoon. It's good to be here with you today. I have come to say this. Little by little one goes far, but together we go further. I'm sort of having a deja vu experience. that maybe some of you have had deja vu experiences too, and you don't. For those of you who are guests, I served as the interim minister here, making way for the illustrious Reverend Liz Lerner McClay. And I don't know that things could have possibly gone better than they have. I want to share with you an experience I had within just the last few days when I was in an email conversation with an editor of a paper, and the editor said to me somewhat incredulously, so you're saying that you are encouraging churches and people in the churches, houses of worship, synagogues, to defy the laws that were created by duly elected officials? And I said, we sure are. We sure are. And the example that I gave him, and the example that keeps coming back to me, that is in my heart so deeply, is the example of the French resistance, the examples of the Polish resistance, the example of all those resistance movements during World War II, where not just breaking the law, but putting their life on the line, people stepped up to take in those refugees who had no place else to go. And the Rhode Island State Council of Churches has been working since you all began to work in an effort to support your efforts, but more than that, to try to infuse in the state of Rhode Island the virus that you have here, the virus that says, no, it can't happen. We cannot allow these anti-family values. We cannot allow these anti-humanitarian values. We cannot allow these anti-democratic values. We cannot allow these anti-everything that is good about America values to win. We have to stand up. We have to stand up together, because alone we make a difference, but together we make change. And the United Council, the Council of Churches of Rhode Island, it's a new position that I have, you see, so I'm still getting used to the title. The Council of Churches is going to continue to work with you all here as you dedicate your space and as you welcome a refugee into that space. Because even if they're not a refugee at this moment, once they take that place, they will be refugees. And we will continue to support it. I've been working with congregations, with houses of worship throughout the city and throughout the state to not only support your efforts, and many of them have stepped forward in different ways to do that and are going to be volunteering and providing funds as well, but also to try to infuse them with that germ that grew here, so that the possibility of there being multiple sites where people can go to be safe and away from the dignities that this age would impose upon them. And so we are with you. Pero juntos podemos ir mucho más allá. And we will continue to be.
Hello, I'm Catherine Alquist, and I am the chairperson of the Sanctuary Host Steering Committee. You're here because we started all this, kind of, and thank you for coming. And I have a very long list of people that we would like to thank for helping us with this project. But before I begin, I'd just like to take a moment to remember those who came to us seeking sanctuary before we were ready to provide it. We wish we had been ready for them. It is said that it takes a village to raise a child. We now know that it takes a village to build a sanctuary for that child and their family. Today you've heard some of the history of this project, and now I would like to acknowledge the many people and organizations who have helped to make this idea a reality. Thank you to the Side with Love members from the First Unitarian Church of Providence who met in November 2016, where the need was identified. Sophia Wright and the members of the Providence Student Youth Movement who challenged us to meet this need. Aaron Regenberg for putting out a call for Rhode Islanders to resist hate and organizing community forums where social action, including sanctuary, could be discussed and acted on. Sister Mary Pendergast for sending us in the right direction in December 2016. The Rhode Island State Council of Churches, especially Donnie Anderson and Charlie Ortman for their continuous interest and support. Deborah Gonzalez, Esquire, from the Roger Williams University School of Law. Zaza Sterrick from AHOPE. Paul Faroga from Fruaza Labral. Hannah Hafter from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Those people all gathered to educate our congregation about the risks of sanctuary, but still the need to make it happen. Steve Alquist for providing video recordings of all of our major events and meetings. Jan Eller-Sachs at Unity Unitarian Church, and Reverend Victoria Safford at the White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church, which are both located in Minnesota. The First Unitarian Society of Denver Sanctuary Team, University Lutheran, First Parish Cambridge, and the Cambridge Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition, especially Rachie Lewis, Nestor Pimentel, Gabby Shaws, Alfredo Garcia, and Rebecca Balder for all the valuable information they continue to share, including the manual for how to create sanctuary. The Massachusetts Community Action Network, Carl Kruger from Dorcas International for meeting with us to come up with a training plan, participating in our trainings, and advising us on ICE and immigration laws. Father Ray Malm and Maggie Meany from the Institute for the Study and Practice of Nonviolence for instructing us on nonviolent resistance. Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Perret, Officer Taylor Brito, and Sergeant Kenneth J. Vinoco from the Providence Police Department for guidance on how to make our buildings safe. Mayor Elorza and his staff, including Emily Crowell, Jordan Van Leesten, and especially Marissa O'Gare, for helping us to figure out what we needed to do to get our room and our building ready. Jeff Lykin, Providence Building Inspector, Captain Peter McMichael, Providence Fire Marshal, Michael Newman, Chief of Mechanical and Plumbing for the City of Providence, and more, especially Natalie Lerner, Arieli Diaz, and Katerina Lorenzo. Tim Shea from Harvard University for working on the Brown University Rapid Response Network with Brian Elzalde, Sarah Alavi, Kaya Sanchez-Strauss, and Sarah Van Horn. Ayla Alquist and Jake LaFond for helping us with our crowdsourcing videos. 2 anonymous supporters who allowed us to start renovating our room before the money was raised so that we can celebrate this occasion today rather than 2 months from today. Kathy Sagal and the Spiritual Pathways Committee. Reverend Liz Lerner McClay, the staff of First UU for all they do to support us so we can do this work. The staff is Posey Chorus, Walter Salato, Jamie Durango, and Pedro Vasquez. The congregation of the First Unitarian who voted to make this possible. Bill and Bev Kotef, who have worked on our website. Our architect, Max Pounder with Samantha Cole, who make up an amazing building team. All of the people, nearly 70 to date, who have volunteered to be hosts to be here on call when we have a guest in sanctuary. Martha Mano, Bill Twaddell, and Rick Richards, who were generous with their help in connecting us with people. Members of the PRUCOM from the years 2016, 2017, and 2018, especially Keith Brown, Cynthia Rosengard, Kimberly Gray, John Simmons, Cheryl Bartholomew, and Gregory Wasmilski. And finally, our congregation president, Jay Glasson, Esquire, and the members of the Sanctuary Steering Committee, Rebecca Alberg, Judy Nylands, Jane Lazar-Tucker, Shannon Vanderweel Ortman, Alyssa Emerson, Jim Cowan, Judy Ortman, and Dina Quilici for their patience, perseverance, and countless hours of work to get this all done. Truly, it is a village.
If you look in your orders of service, you'll see that we have a half page titled Dedication. We do this act of dedication together. Every one of us who is here, please participate. You'll see that we start with something that everyone is going to say together. There are many clergy in the room today. You have something to say next. Members of the First Unitarian Church of Providence, all of us together again. the members again, and then all of us. Can we join together in this act and moment of dedication? We are here because we affirm the ties that bind, the gifts and obligations, opportunities and unfoldings that teach us and remind us we are kin, stranger to stranger, friend to friend, nation to nation, soul to soul. We are here because we have dedicated our lives to the principles of compassion and care that all our religions teach, that we teach and aspire to, that reveals all our sameness and bridges all our differences. We are here because we ourselves have been caught when we were falling, saved when we were desperate, because we are alive when we might never have survived or lived at all. For us, this is a moment of time and a humbling responsibility. We celebrate this culmination of our urgency and efforts, and we square our shoulders for all the urgency and effort ahead as our vision becomes reality. We are here in celebration and also in anguished awareness that for the few people this effort will help, there are countless more people who need a far larger help. May this sanctuary inspire others. May it even be a small step towards a larger return to the values this nation has always claimed for itself, claimed even when we have failed to live up to them, those values of welcome and opportunity, the belief that all are worthy of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. In this spirit, grounded in humanity, driven by need, strengthened by faith, humbled by help, thankful for each other, we do dedicate this church, our spaces, our energies, our resources, and our abilities to the sacred purpose of providing a sanctuary. May we help as widely and deeply and many as possible. May our strength and purpose not fail us, nor those who depend on us, who trust their lives and families through our care. May we be wise and patient, brave and stalwart. May our efforts renew the best and highest in our own hearts, and help restore the heart of this nation. May we come out of this time of brokenness and betrayal closer to each other, and closer to being what this land has claimed for so long. May this work and this day bring us closer to that elusive declaration: liberty, freedom from want, injustice, and persecution, such freedom that all may even pursue happiness. Amen. Can we join in our closing hymn, Lean on Me? You'll find it in the teal-colored hymnal before you, number 1021. Can we rise in body or spirit and sing out as we are able? I figure a lot of us know this one.
Lean on me.
sit on down for the benediction. But can we join hands? Can we join hands because no one does this alone? With gratitude for our ability to respond to this crisis, with gratitude for the urgency that we feel, and gratitude for the vision and commitment and support and work that have brought us to this day. With grief and anger for the people and families whose lives hang in the balance, whose lives have already been broken, whose lives will never be the same, for whom our nation has broken its promise, for all the violations and inhumanity that have brought us to this day. With a sense of rightness, that we are doing what we can, and the knowledge that together we can do more, to help and affirm that Providence is alive and well here, that Providence will provide. With hope that together we will do more, that together we will be part of a turning tide and a renewal of our nation's longtime values of welcome and opportunity and acceptance. We close this service. We return from the realm of faith and ideals to the action that faith and ideals require of us all. May our endeavors and our lives be blessed. Amen. Please join me in the words, "Our chalice has extinguished itself, but I'm extinguishing the light, the eternal flame that we always keep for the burning of our chalice," because we have to say, especially now, carry the flame of peace and love until we meet